So this is what AutoHive looks like if you haven't been in there before and you haven't seen it. Down the left-hand side, these are all workspaces, and a workspace is a place where your agents live. So workspaces are a way to organize different agents. Think about a workspace from maybe a project perspective. You might have a workspace called onboarding, and you have agents in there that help new staff with onboarding elements. You might have a workspace called marketing, and all your marketing team members are in there, and all your marketing agents are in there. And maybe in there, you've also authenticated the marketing at email inbox as well, so everybody can use that. So that's how workspaces work. I use them to organize different projects. And this is Buzz Comewell, a fictional employee's account. My own personal account has got 10 or 15 workspaces down the side for all the different places that I hang out, or different projects that I work on. So for this, I'm going to create a new workspace, and I'll do that by clicking workspaces, which is just above the list of workspaces, and go create workspace. And I'll call it Xero Invoice Creator. And now I'm going to go to Browse Agents, because there's an agent in here that we're going to use to help us get this done, and that is Prompt Writer. So Prompt Writer is an expert at writing instructions for agents. When you build a custom agent, you have to give it instructions, and it follows those instructions like a job description. You might have, every agent has a job description, and then every task you give it, you think about as a task that fits within that job description. So Prompt Writer is very good at helping us write the job descriptions for our agents. And I've got a prompt here that I've pre-written that I'll paste in, and I'll send it in the chat as well, so you've got it. And I'll read it out. So it says, okay, I'd like you to take a look at the Xero integration tool in AutoHive so you understand what it does. Then I'd like to build an agent that can help me create bills, invoices in my Xero account. It should be capable of using the Gmail tool too, to check my emails and decide whether any emails are bills or invoices, and or whether they contain attachments, which are bills or invoices. Please ensure this agent is 100% confident in the amounts for bills and invoices before creating anything in Xero. So that last sentence is something that I threw on there because when I tested it, it created one for me, but it used the wrong amount. And that's an example of one of the things that I anticipate might go wrong here. But when I send this, Prompt Writer should start to work on the task. So it's looking for information about the Xero integration.
Right.
When it's happy that it's found enough information, or it might come back and say, I can't find that information, but I will assume there's a Xero tool and I will write the instructions. So we're going to let it do its thing. It's still looking. It's also now researching the Gmail tool because I've told it that I need it to be able to use that as well. So now it's saying to me, this is what I understand, and this is what I have found. Here is the design for the agent. So already I'm seeing something here is going wrong, right? Prompt Writer is designed to write instructions, and what it's doing here is writing more of a brief for the design itself. And I think this might be related to Gemini 3. Gemini 3 came out recently, and everybody has been hooping and hollering about how good it is, and it is very good, but it's also doing some very strange things. We're seeing some odd hallucinations from it. And it's definitely sort of persuading this version of this agent to do things slightly differently. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to my own account, because I can control which model that agent uses in my own account, but I can't in this demo account. So here's a workspace that I made earlier, and I'll go Browse Agents, and I'll get that Prompt Writer again. I want to have a look at its settings and see what it's using. Yeah, it is on Gemini 3 Pro. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go to Claude Sonnet 4.5, also a really powerful model, should do fine for this job. And I'm just going to update that, and then I'll give it exactly the same prompt that I gave it before. And hopefully we should see slightly different behavior here now. It should stick to its job description a bit better. I think Gemini's doing some crazy things at the moment. I'd imagine they're scrambling a wee bit to figure out how to stop it from, it outputs what it's thinking instead of its final answer, for example.
Right.
Interesting. This one's doing it as well. So I won't go too far into detail. It's just writing the instructions in a format that I don't normally get. We don't normally expect. But this is perfectly all right. These are going to work just as they are. So this is the job description, the agent instructions that it's giving us for this new agent. I'm going to copy those, and then we're going to go and create agent. There's one here called Xero Invoice Ninja. That was one that I built in testing. Let's call this one Xero Invoice Helper. And in the agent instructions box, this is where the job description goes. So I'm just pasting that in. And I'm not going to use a Gemini model for this, I don't think, at the moment. I'm going to use a Claude model. Temperature controls creativity, and sometimes, and in a lot of cases, you don't even need to mess with temperature. You may not even need to know that it exists. But there are cases where you would want lower levels of creativity, and handling invoices or creating data in Xero is one where I would probably want to turn the creativity down a bit.
Sure.
An example of the opposite might be if you're scrambling for ideas for a blog article, you want some creativity, you might whack it all the way up to 1,
yep,
and then use a marketing agent to say, help me brainstorm for the next blog, whatever. So I mess with temperature quite a lot. And as a bit of a yardstick, when you're using ChatGPT in the OpenAI interface or Claude or Gemini, you get about 0.7, I think. The generally accepted wisdom is the temperature is about 0.7. But in those platforms, you don't have a temperature slider, so you can't change it. You get what you're given effectively from a creativity perspective.
Right.
So now that we've given it a job description and we've chosen which model we want it to use and we've told it how much creativity we want it to have, the last 2 things to do are to give it a Gmail tool so that it can access our emails and look for those bills. So I'll do that. And I'm actually going to re-authenticate that in a second. And the other one that it needs is a Xero tool, so it can put stuff in Xero for us. And now we need to fill this in. It's just a description of what the agent does. So it helps us create invoices and bills in Xero using tools. Now it's asking which workspace you want to put it in. I'm just going to leave it in the Xero Invoice Creator workspace only. The last thing I want to check before I kick this off is which Gmail account it's going to look in. I don't know if it's my work email or the example one. So yeah, see right now it's connected to joe@AutoHive. So I'm going to disconnect it, and I'm going to connect it to demo@ so it doesn't go digging through a far busier inbox. So let's go to reconnect, and we'll use demo. Maybe I'll go through the Xero authentication again as well. It didn't ask me to authenticate when I just attached the tool because we're in a workspace where there's another agent already using the tool, so it must already be authenticated. But if I go disconnect, it's saying, before you do this, these 2 agents use it, so be careful. That's all right. So I've disconnected. I'll connect it again, just so you see what the flow is like. And it's saying connected to 2 organizations, continue. And let's just have a quick check and make sure. Yeah, everyone in the workspace. Cool. Okay. So what I've got now in another tab here is, this is a list of bills and invoices for the demo company that it's attached to in Xero. and this is the email inbox. And there's a few unread emails in here of newsletters, but there's this one here, which is a genuine Air New Zealand booking that I'm on Friday to fly to Auckland. I've just forwarded this into this inbox to test this agent. So let's see whether it can find it. First of all, could you check my inbox for any invoices or bills, please? So it's showing us it's running a tool. It's looking in the inbox. So this is funny, right? Funny start. It says, I've checked your inbox. I don't see any obvious invoices or bills, but it has flagged that there's a flight booking there. So this is an opportunity to tweak the agent's instructions or give it a clearer prompt. I could simply say to it, so you don't think a flight booking might have an invoice attached? It'll say, you're absolutely right, probably. Yeah, there you go. Typically do have invoices or receipts attached. It's now found the attachment. It's just giving us all the details, which is totally fine. Would you like me to read the PDF attachments to see the full invoice details, including the amount paid? I'll just say, yes, please get the full amount and then use the Xero tool to create a bill for this. Check with me how to code it correctly, please. So obviously this is, right now, this is a more manual process than just putting the bloody invoice in Xero, right? I'm demonstrating the tool, and the goal with this agent would be to improve its job description to the point where it nails this task. And you would do that by having some back and forth with that prompt writer agent and saying, yeah, okay, this is a good start, but it's overlooking Air New Zealand invoices. Can you add in its instructions that it should always look for an invoice if there's an Air New Zealand email? And once you've got that tight, then you could use the scheduling area to schedule the agent, and it might check your emails every day at 9 o'clock, for example. Right. Look for bills and invoices, and then whack them into Xero. So it says, I can see the travel accounts. Let me extract the invoice details. So it's found a couple of different potential codes from the chart of accounts. It's picked 493. It's national. It knows the flight isn't international, which is cool. The invoice amount is 218. That's not correct. I don't know whether it returned the full amount earlier on, but it's more like $800 or $900, I think. So let's have a quick look and see what that is. Yeah. Okay. The total amount is not correct. Please check the PDF again and update that. I don't want to tell it what the answer is. I want it to learn to find it. And with more time and attention, we would iron out all of these things, right? It's still getting it wrong. So what I can probably do in this case is just grab a screenshot of that, check it in here and say, looks like the total is more like 900. You're absolutely right. So I'm demonstrating a process right now that is frustrating, right? And this is not improving our work situation as it currently is, but the goal would be getting it to the point where it runs on a schedule. And I could do that with a few rounds of evaluations using prompt writer and say, giving it clearer instructions on moving more slowly, reading PDFs in detail, confirming amounts. It's using the chart of accounts from Xero quite well. So that's not something that we would need to work on, but there are other things that we would need to work on before it's ready to be.
Yeah. Having done this, the next time you were to run this, would it perform better? Would it?
It wouldn't without any changes. So it doesn't learn in a sense from one conversation to the next. The way to improve its performance is by updating its agent instructions or its job description. So maybe I'll go through one round of that. So I'll grab the instructions here, and I've just copied them. And now I'm going to open Prompt Writer. I'll even go back to the same conversation, and I'll say, this agent isn't doing what I want it to. It overlooked an attachment from a New Zealand email, which had an invoice e-ticket booking. It also repeatedly got the total amount wrong, even though it's in the PDF. Can you help me fix this? Here are the current instructions. So then I'll just put in the current version of the instructions, and what we should get from Prompt Writer now, it says, I can help you fix these issues. The problems you're experiencing are critical, missing attachments, etc., etc. It's added this critical rules section at the top, for example. Never create a bill or invoice in Xero unless you're 100% confident. That may have already been there. Always check for attachments. Never skip this step. So that wasn't there before. Also, what we can try now is copy these instructions. Actually, that probably hasn't copied yet. It won't work until it's finished writing, and then I'll copy it. Okay. It's kind of, it looks like it's broken out of its little code block a little bit. This part in the middle here should be, please put it all inside. See, step 8 is down here, and then
okay.
it's putting an example template in here, but it should all be inside the same thing, so I can nice and easily hit copy up here. So this process is a sort of a quick and easy version of an evaluation. Evals is a thing that is becoming a speciality in AI agent building. Understanding where it's going wrong and why, and being able to evaluate and improve it is becoming a sort of a 1% skill that's becoming a role or a sector of its own. So I've copied that. Now I'm going to go back to our invoice helper, and I'm just going to put that new version of instructions in there, and press save. So theoretically, we should get better performance now out of this agent. I didn't read them at all, and if I was doing this for real, I would read them really carefully and make sure that what's changed is actually going to help the situation. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to just say, yes, that's now correct. Please add the bill to Xero. We haven't got as far as Xero yet, so we should see it use a Xero tool now. So it's looking to see whether New Zealand exists already as a contact. It already exists. That's because I tested this yesterday. We should see a new bill appear on this page when I refresh in a second. I've successfully created the bill in Xero. Now let me attach the invoice. This is cool. I wasn't sure it would be able to do this part, but it's attaching the PDF as well, which is pretty powerful. So if I refresh this, there it is.
Cool.
Sent to the right amount. It's coded it as national travel. Yeah, so that took a bit longer than I expected. The agent is not performing as well as I would like, and I think there are some evals required on the prompt writer itself. I think I need to review the prompt writer and improve its instructions so that it writes better instructions for all of the agents that it creates. But that was an opportunity to demo using a Gmail tool. Obviously, I could also just drop the PDF into the conversation and say, create this as a bill in Xero.
Right.
Still super handy tool to have.
Sure.
And the other thing that I mentioned earlier was scheduling. So what we could do, if this agent was tip top, we could say, check emails daily, create Xero invoices. And then we can select the agent we've built, which was Xero Invoice Helper. We could say, starting from tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And let's say daily, it never ends. And the instructions are check for unread emails that might be bills or invoices and create those in Xero. So now we've got a scheduled task, and I don't have to come to AutoHive in order for this to happen now.
Right.
Every morning that agent would run, it would go through that process, check the emails, create the bills. And you could ask it, for example, you could give it a Slack tool or a Microsoft Teams tool or something and say, ping me a message every morning after you've run this and tell me what you've created. Okay. So just one example of using Xero integration and an idea of how it might fit into your workflow.